Hi everyone. So a few days ago I tweeted out that I was going to start teaching social media to the grades 4, 5, and 6 at the elementary school where I work. A lot of you on Twitter showed interest in seeing exactly what kind of content I was going to be showing and how I was going to go about showing it. We had our first session on Tuesday. It was a big success. The kids got really into it. They were super engaged and really interested. So I thought I'd actually record my presentation and put it up here on YouTube. Now I'm going to go over it pretty quickly here with you, but with the students that actually lasted 45 minutes by the time we got through all of their questions and the discussion period. The whole series is called Web Plus You, Being Smart and Safe Online with Mr. Joey. That's what my students call me. And in this first session was just really an introduction. I talked about why we're going to be doing these sessions and why it was me that was teaching them. A lot of the students assume that I'm the phys ed teacher and I shouldn't know very much about computers and the internet. Then we went over important terms such as just servers, cloud computing, and social media, things we're going to be talking about a lot in the sessions to come. And then at the end we had a question period, but to be honest, the question period lasted throughout the whole thing. So I'm not going to go over the whole introduction. I'm assuming that a lot of you already know who I am. So let's jump right into important terms. And the first term we actually talked about were servers. And here's how I did it. So imagine at home you have a computer, you have different programs on your computer, different content, and all of that content, those programs are saved on your computer. Now you might have other computers in your home, let's say your brothers or your sisters or your parents, and they have their own version of those programs, that software, and they have their content on their computers too. Now sometimes you want to be able to access information that's on one computer from your own computer. And it's not easy to do that. You have to transfer it onto a USB key and carry it over. Unless you set up something called a server. Now, in the simplest form, a server is just a computer that connects other computers. Now, what's great about that is that once these computers are all connected over the network, you can install software on the server, you can put all kinds of content on the server, and then you can access that content from any of the computers that are connected to it through the network. Now, we use servers almost every day. We use it all the time. The whole internet is based off of servers. And some companies you might be aware of are companies like Facebook. So Facebook is a company called Facebook, and it's also a product called Facebook. And Facebook keeps its product on its own servers, and that's why when you log into your Facebook account, you can log in from any computer in the world, and you'll have all of your information there. Now, what's great about that is you don't have to save all those photos, those conversations, and all that on your computer, so it doesn't take up any room. It's all on Facebook servers. Another tool you might be familiar with is something like Gmail, like a web-based email. So again, all of your information is saved on Google servers, which are stored somewhere else, and you can access that information from any computer anywhere in the world by logging into your Google account. So now that we understand what a server is, let's talk about cloud computing. So in your life, you might have multiple computers that you use. You might have a laptop at home and then another computer at school. Your teacher might give you some homework that you have to type up on the computer at home. So you type up this document, and when you're done creating it, you save it onto your computer. Now that's great that you've saved it onto your computer, but you have to bring it to school to show it to your teacher. So you can use something like a USB key that you can transfer the document onto your USB key, make sure it's safe, then unplug the USB key, and once you're ready to go to school, you bring the USB key all the way with you to school, plug it into the computer there, and now you can access your document at school and show it to your teacher. Now that's a great way of doing things, and people have been doing these things like this for a long time. Not always with USB keys, but with floppy disks and CDs and things like that. But now there's a new solution that's actually a lot better. It's a lot easier to use, and it's called cloud computing. So let's say you have these computers now, but instead of saving it onto a USB key, you're going to save it up into the cloud. Now the cloud isn't an actual cloud up in the sky, so you're not going to have documents raining down on you. Cloud just means an external server somewhere else that you can access through the internet. So now that you're typing up this document at home, instead of saving it onto your computer, you can actually save and store it up in the cloud. And what's great about that is that you don't have to worry about transferring it onto a USB key or losing your USB key or anything like that, because now you can access that document from any computer in the world through the cloud, which means through the internet. So you're going to access those servers by using the internet. You can make changes to that document, you can edit it, you can save it, whatever. And what's great too is that any changes that you make to it happen in the cloud. So then when you go on through another computer, you can still access it just fine. Another really cool aspect about cloud computing is this idea of collaboration. Since the document's hosted up in the cloud, you can have people from all around the world working on it from the comfort of their own homes. So these people can be making changes. You can follow and track the changes that the people are making. And then once you're all decided on the final document, then you just save it and then everybody can have access to it. No need for USB keys, no need to email it back and forth between each other. It's just there, stored up in the cloud. So the last term I want to talk about is social media. Now, social media is a term that we hear a lot these days, and everybody seems to be very confused as to what social media actually is or what it actually means. Now, there's a lot of definitions you can get online, and I could share those definitions with you. Let's say we could say social media is a web-based and mobile technologies used to turn communication into interactive dialogue. But I'm pretty sure that if I gave you that definition, you'd probably feel really confused. I know I'd feel really confused if somebody gave that to me. So let's look at social media in a different way. And I think a great way to really understand social media is to first take a look at traditional media. So let's bring out our friend Leonardo da Vinci here. Now Leonardo decides that he wants to go home and he wants to make a painting. So he grabs his paintbrushes and before you know it, he's made this awesome painting. Now in that painting there's a lot of information. He's trying to convey a message through it, or even just the way that he painted it. There's just all kinds of information there. But the thing is that even after Leonardo da Vinci leaves, the painting remains the same. What he created will never change. Even if people from all around the world come and look at it and talk about it and everything, the painting stays the same. It will always be just like he created it. It's kind of one-directional in that sense, in the sense that even though like people can talk about it, nobody can really modify the painting unless you actually took a paintbrush to it. Now, in traditional media, we have things like TV, radio, and newspapers. And these outlets don't necessarily make paintings, but they do make different pieces of media that are one-directional. So TVs can make shows, you can have radio programs or newspaper articles. And what happens is that these media outlets, so TV, radio, or newspaper, well, they send out these paintings, which are actually like their shows and everything, out to the masses, and us as consumers, all we can do is just that. We can consume. And we have no say really on how we can modify or change or anything like that. We just have to take their word for it. So now that we understand traditional media, let's take a look at social media. And we're going to bring Leonardo back out here. So let's say Leonardo is living in our day and age, and he hears about this awesome site called Facebook. So he goes home, he goes on the internet, and he creates himself a Facebook account. And before you know it, he's posting status updates and filling up his Facebook timeline and having lots of fun with it. But then he actually gets a really smart idea. He uses his Facebook account to publish that picture of that painting that he created. And what's cool is that now with social media, we have that painting. It's all the original information is there. But on top of that, you have extra information. What happens is that you'll have all kinds of dialogue going on. So you have dialogue, you have conversations, you'll have opinions being shared, ideas being shared, you'll have people voting, liking, disliking, all kinds of things. So if I'm on Facebook and I stumble upon Leonardo da Vinci's Facebook timeline, I could take a look at it, and when I see this painting, I'm not only looking at a painting, I'm also looking at all this extra information that goes into it. Things like these conversations, these dialogue, these ideas, everything. And that modifies the painting, because now when I look at it, I'm getting a lot more information out of it than I originally was. And with the social media tools, all that information is right there in front of my eyes. People really like social media because you can post pretty much anything online, anything from pictures, videos, blogs, whatever you want. And what's great about it is that then you can have people share on this. And what people have realized that the more that they put in, the more that they get out of it, the richer that content becomes. And people really like that because it makes them feel like their opinion counts, and their opinion does count. A lot of people are doing really cool things with social media. And that's why everybody's so into it, because it makes you feel like you're important. So instead of hearing a lot of buzz around TV, radio, and newspapers these days, we're hearing a lot of buzz around YouTube, Facebook, and blogs. Social media has really changed the way that society shares and creates information. And in my opinion, this is only the start. So those were our 3 important terms for today: servers, cloud computing, and social media. So that was my opening presentation for my students. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or anything, please leave in the comments below, and I'll try and get the rest of the presentations up as we go along. Thank you.